Hi guys, welcome back to our podcast. I'm Elise.
And I'm Dom.
This week we are talking about just navigating work and life balance in your 20s. We have been going through a little bit of imposter syndrome recently and a little bit of loneliness, so we're going to kind of touch on all of that, but we start every week with our peak and pit. What's your peak and pit?
I think I can speak on both of our behalf on peak.
Yeah.
We are celebrating my birthday on Friday, which I'm super excited about. I'm renting out a bar. One of my good friends is DJing. I'm doing a theme. Everyone is wearing double denim just because I absolutely love a Canadian tuxedo. I would say that's my peak. It's the only thing I've been looking forward to all week. And I would say like since November started, but I think November started
so
like
excited.
a couple days ago. But yeah, that's all I've been thinking about.
I know.
I think that would be like both of ours. And then what about your pit?
This is an ongoing issue that I'm still currently dealing with an ex-employer of mine. I'm not going to get too much into detail because it's ongoing.
You're like, I can't say too much,
But I have learned quite a few things of how I do contracts in the future, for sure. Yeah.
That's that. I would say my pit, I recently ended things with a friend, which has kind of been something that's been carried out, I would say, for the past year. And I think friendship breakups are so challenging, and it's like you're mourning the loss of someone that is still there and they're still existing, and you see them on social media and they're going about their life, and it's really hard for me to just not internalize or like look at everything that they're doing and just have such a distasteful like perception of them.
Especially the way it ended. I think it's different if a friendship breakup ends on like mutual grounds.
It didn't.
And then it's different if like you decide that this person is no longer serving you and they have a hard time accepting that.
Yeah.
And it just ends on just shitty terms.
Yeah. I think I put too much into it towards the end, and it just didn't work out for like X, Y, and Z reasons. But yeah, it's just hard. Like some days I don't think about it at all, and I'm like so high and mighty, and I'm like, I'm okay, I'm moving forward, I'm like, keep it going. And then other days I think about it and I'm like, and I go back and I read our conversation, I'm like, ugh, that was just so much. And there was just so much, I don't even know if I would say anger, I would just say, I don't know, like two sides that just maybe I wasn't hearing her side, and she just couldn't grasp what I was saying, and then unfortunately it just didn't work out. And maybe it's for the best, because I've had friendship breakups in the past, and now I'm like, wow, thank God that didn't work out, and that person is thriving, and now I'm thriving, so it was for the best. But I like really wanted it to work. Like,
honestly, like I went through a similar situation like 2.5 years ago now, and it was a very interesting situation, and it ended on really bad terms. And I, at the time, oh my gosh, it was the worst period of my life.
You're getting like flashbacks mid-podcast.
Like PTSD. But now I look back and I'm like, you know what? I wish you the best.
I know.
And
not
it's
okay.
Like,
you don't want there to be any animosity between you and the other person. It's just sad. Like, I think that's the only way. It's like I'm in my feels whenever I think about it. And I've talked it out with you, my mom, my other close friends. Like, there's nothing else that has been left unsaid. Like, I've expressed every feeling. I've looked at it from so many different angles. I've analyzed it down to the T. I'm like, okay, maybe I actually did all of these things wrong. I think I'm just sad. Because at one point we were such good friends and we were inseparable. And then I think there's so many factors that went into it. Like, we're older now, we both have boyfriends, we both have full-time jobs, and I think just our personalities weren't like made to go
mesh
longer than what it was.
I think one thing that you have to realize is sometimes you outgrow people. And sometimes what I have noticed is you think that over time everybody grows and everybody keeps, maturing and everything, but that's not really the case. And sometimes like you mature so much and the other person didn't at all.
Has like hit their peak, their ceiling on like the type of friend that they are. So we've done a whole episode on like dealing with female friendships and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's just something that's been kind of weighing heavy on me.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for my birthday. So we're like pushing that aside
Yeah.
and like not thinking about it any longer.
Yes. Okay, this week we have been dealing with like imposter syndrome, and I have never in my life really known what that meant. When
I
people
didn't
would
know
talk
what it
about
meant until I started this job.
Feeling
And I
it.
think to give like a definition on imposter syndrome, I think you and I is just our inability to think that the success that we're getting and all the milestones that we're reaching, that we're deserving of it. I think that's the best way to describe it. You and I do very different but very similar things for work.
Yeah.
And we're constantly just, am I doing it right? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
When you get the recognition and then you like go back in your shell and you're like, wait, what? Like, why are you telling me that it's a good job? I don't think that it's a good job. And I'm so hard on myself.
Yeah. I think where I run into problems with myself is I work my ass off.
Yeah.
And I have proven to basically every employer that I have worked with that I have a 10 out of 10 work ethic that is sort of very uncommon. And I feel like I have sort of thought that that's the new norm. So like I will go weeks and months without a break and putting my head down and grinding and having daily mental breakdowns and doing all these things and saying yes to everything. And the past 2 weeks, I have had a really light workload.
You're like, have no deliverables been assigned? Like,
No.
where's the work?
And
Yeah.
where I'm running into the problem now is I feel like I'm undeserving of the break and that there's something wrong. Like I
Yeah.
need to keep it going.
Yeah.
When in reality, this is just kind of how it goes. Like there should be a break period because after this break period, it's going to be that hardcore again.
Yeah.
It comes in like ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And I think not that it's hard for me to be proud of myself because I can look at my work and I know my work is good. And I know that I've worked with these brands and I know that they value me and that's like
And
an
then it just
accomplishment.
speaks for itself.
But then there's that side of me. Example, I was coming out of the subway the other day and some girl took a double take at me and she was like,
You're like, oh, I'm about to get jumped.
she was like, are you Elise? I'm like,
yeah, and who's asking?
And I'm so awkward too. I was like, yeah. And she's
who
like,
are you?
I love your TikToks and your podcast. And I'm like, why?
Wait, can you actually write down why you like me? Because
And it was
I
just
need to
like-
put it on my mirror.
It was
Yeah.
just one of those moments where
Yeah.
I should have been like, that's fucking
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
But I was more so just confused.
Yeah.
And guys, don't stop doing that because I loved it.
So I don't know what it is, but maybe because I haven't like fully stepped into the shell of like what I do and how proud I am of myself, I get such not bad anxiety. I get like an overwhelming amount of anxiety when new people ask me like, so like what do you do, like what is this, like explain to me House of Movement. And
Yeah.
to like my close friends, my family, like I have no problem rambling on and on about our success and where we want to take the brand and all that stuff. But when new people, like if people at work ask me about it or they're just curious, I feel like there's not, like I get embarrassed because I'm like, is what we're doing and like is the way that I'm explaining it able to measure up to what we're actually doing? I don't know if that makes sense, but I get such an overwhelming amount of stress talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, like we're doing so well, but like I don't really know what we're doing or what it is, and it's just I get very stressed out.
I think something
when it
that I
comes to
have
that.
learned is nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's very normal to feel like you get a new job or you get a new client and you're like, how do I sell this product? How do I market this product? How do I create this video?
Well, you've been like running into that issue with like one of the clients that you had. You would literally reach out to me and you're like, I don't know what the F I'm doing.
I don't know how to sell.
But
in reality, that's what I've been doing. So
Yeah.
at least you do know how to do
Yeah.
it. But
like,
in
let's
my head,
go back
I'm
to the drawing
like,
board.
ChatGPT, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I think that happens with everybody. And I think you just have to step into what you're doing, keep it rolling.
Yeah.
And life figures itself
Yeah.
out is the motto that I go by.
Something that so in my new job, I work for a startup company. So a lot of the things and the tasks that I'm getting assigned I'm completing it for the first time. Like there's nothing set in stone. So for example, I have been told, and I've told you about this, but I've been told to like create a bunch of graphics and infographics for the company that I work for. But someone on the board of directors has like a very keen idea on the image and the branding and the wording and how we're conveying ourselves online of what she wants it to be. Like she wants it to be super elevated and super upscaled. So you have a junior person like myself who's been assigned this like massive task list, and she's like, so I did it to like the best of my capabilities, and then I met with her and I was like, hey, like here's my work. And she basically, which was a good thing, but she basically was like, yeah, like this is not like this sucks. Like this is, she obviously didn't say it like that, but she was like, she's like, Dom, like not Dom, she's like, Dominica, this is not anything on you, but like we need a senior graphic designer to take this on because you just like don't have the capabilities to do it. And like that moment gave me so much like imposter syndrome, because I was like, what am I doing here? But then I'm saying when I got assigned that task, it gave me so much imposter syndrome, because I was like, why am I in this role if I don't have the skill set to do it? Like I felt like, why am I here? Like one
thing I said to you is I have experienced the exact same thing, and trust me, I've been doing it for like a year and a half now. So I have come into the point where I handle it differently than I used to. But like 3 months ago, for example, if I was assigned something that I am not contracted for, I'd be like, yeah, no problem, I can do it. And I would do it and they wouldn't like it, or, you know, they would say it's wrong, or I didn't include the information, or I would fuck up a caption or do all these things. And I would get so much anxiety because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to lose my job. Whereas
that was the anxiety that I got the other day. I literally called her and I was like, I'm going to get fired. And she was like, can you relax? And I needed that reassurance from my boss to be like, no, this is actually just outside of your scope of work. Like you don't have the skill set for it. But I will say something that situations like that have taught me is there are so many, and even my boss said it to me the other day, there's so many resources that you can use. So you have like 10 out of 10 for every skill set that you want to have. So like these programming softwares that like I'm supposed to learn, I'm like, ugh, like what is this? But my boss is like, no, just like spend an hour watching a YouTube video. Like there's so many things that you could do so to help you not get that imposter syndrome.
Well, even like how I handle it now, if it's something I'm not contracted for, I'll now vocalize that. I'll be like, this is not under my contract, but I'm willing to add it on if that's something you want to add on, or I'm willing to do just like a pay per job type of thing. And if it is under my contract and you want me to do it, I just take it as constructive criticism. Hey, send me a mood board of something you like. You don't like this one? Okay, send me some options of things you like. Because it's not personal at the end of the day, even though it feels like it is.
It's really not. It's just a, like professional, like there's just a professional aspect that they're coming to you from. Today I literally said the same thing to my boss. So I'm being handed off the responsibility of having full creative direction for our LinkedIn and how we want to market all of our pillars, the graphics that are going to get put out. And I'm basically going to be the point of contact between the senior graphic designer that we're bringing on and the company's idea. So like I'll just be creating all the proposals, all the briefs. And I said to my boss today when I sat down with him at 4, I was like, look, just so we don't have 1,000,005 like editorial steps, or I'm saying like editorial pieces that I give to you that you don't like, I was like, give me a clear, concise brief, tag me in links or provide me links of what you want so I know. And he was like, you know what, he's like, Dom, like he's like, thank you so much for like, he's like, I'm glad that you have an idea of like what you want, of like what you want to create. And I think like in whatever thing you get assigned for work, just asking questions and being like, what do you want? So like I know what I'm creating for you, instead of you're just like, okay, well I'm just gonna do what like it's like you're being just pushed into the dark and being like, okay, go figure it out.
I think also over time you realize that you are not replaceable. And I have learned that through leaving certain employers, that the grass isn't always greener. And I have basically learned my worth probably over the past 3 months, realistically. Where I know my work is good. I know that I do all of these things 10 out of 10. I know I have a good work ethic. So when I leave these jobs because of X, Y, and Z, and you say, no problem, I'll replace you, and then 3, 4, 5 months go by
And the replacement
sucks.
Yeah.
It almost is like a pat on the back for me, because like, I told you so.
Yeah. And it is very nice to get recognition for the work that you're putting out and that you're providing for your employer. Like, not every day needs to be, okay, well, at least like star, like pat on the back, like here's a gold star. But it is really nice, I think, for whatever role that you're in, especially starting off. And I think any new grad, like anyone that just finished school, or you're stepping into a role that you might necessarily not be 1000% qualified, it is so nice to get that recognition of, hey, you're working really hard, we see it, we appreciate you, and that you're open and receptive to the feedback that you're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also say, when you're in the period of like putting your head down and grinding, it can be really lonely, is what I have come to realize. And not in lonely in a way of like you don't have friends and you don't have a boyfriend or family or whatever. System. It's more lonely in the fact that like you have to choose. Do you choose to stay in tonight and get your work done and grind and do your thing, or stay in this week, for example? Or do you decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to put work on the back seat and I'm going to have a social life.
Yeah.
And I have had a really hard time balancing, because unfortunately or fortunately, I always choose work.
But the thing is, though, and I think this will be different for other people, you are self-employed.
Yeah.
So like you have no one else that you can pawn work off to, or go to someone for support. Like you can go to like me or the close people around you, but I'm saying like if you have a deadline on Friday and like you're super slammed on Wednesday, there's not an assistant or someone else on your team that you could reach out to, which I think is such a cool thing, because you're like, wow, I get to do it all myself. But it will also, I think, is your biggest downfall, because you might not have the option one day to be like, you know what, like it's 5:00, I'm done, like let's pick this up again 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. You're like, no, it's 6 p.m. and you're still sending out emails, and I'm like, stop.
I know.
But it's hard. But that's the thing. And so funny enough that you said this, I literally had this conversation yesterday with my boss, because like I said, I work for a startup. So, and him being the CEO, there's so much things that we need to do. Like we are paving the runway for how we want our company to be established and how we want it to be perceived. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing, all of these files and marketing assets and sales assets, they're not done. Like we are in the process of creating them while we're trying to go out and get clients. So I work 9 to 5 and I put in my 8 hours. I do everything that I'm expected to do by the end of the day. And if I stay, like if I'm on a little bit later, that's more than fine. But my boss always says to me, like, I'll get on a meeting with him at 4 p.m. and I'm like, so like, are you almost done? He's like, no. He's like, I'll probably be working till like 7, 8 o'clock at night. Granted, it's his company, but that's the thing. It's his company, and he will say it to me sometimes. I find it so hard to switch off, because you're constantly thinking of things. And he's like, oh, I'll have dinner and I'll just jot something down, but then that jotting down will just turn into something else. But he says it to me, he's like, I need you as a young junior level marketer to understand work-life balance, and especially having a work from home job. I know you can get so consumed and I'll just work into the whole night, but he's like, I need you to put an emphasis on that. So when I hear you talking about it, I'm like, you're like my boss.
That's where I'm trying to find a balance. And I've actually started putting in my contracts with clients, my hours Monday to Friday are 9 to 5. Weekends, my availability is very minimal. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can, but like nothing is guaranteed. Yeah. And I've started putting that in contracts, because when I first started in this like line of work, I was very easily taken advantage of time-wise, because like you need something done, I'll do it. You need this edited, no problem. It's going to take me 5 seconds. I'll do it. But that 5-second edit or that quick link clip or whatever it is, to them is like, oh, it's a Saturday. She did it last time. She'll do it next time.
Yeah, and you're a little bit naive to how people are going to... You're naive to thinking people won't take advantage of you, but they will. And that's why I think you've clearly established boundaries, but you don't have someone being like, okay, clock out,
no,
done,
I think
turn the laptop off.
I think also when I live alone, so I don't really have much to do other than work.
Yeah.
Like I can call friends and I can hang out with whoever and whatever.
Yeah. And
but,
like go work out and do your thing.
Yeah.
But like then when you come home and like dinner's done and it's 8:30.
Yeah, I'm like I'm gonna do some work.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do
because
a
I
little bit
happen
more.
to like love my work.
Yeah.
So it's definitely blurs lines,
Yeah.
and it's something I'm still working on. And I think that ties in with the imposter syndrome too. Is like I work so much because like I need to come to the point where I feel like this income is deserving. Or
do you feel like you're just having to prove it to yourself?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's no one else. I've never felt like I have to prove myself to anybody else.
Yeah.
It's always like I need to prove to myself that I deserve this income.
Yeah. But I think everything that you've done to get to the point where you're getting paid and you're making as much money as you are now, and not even money, like to measure the success that's in front of you, I think that should speak for itself, and that should be almost, I would take it as like a relief. Like I've worked so hard and I've put in so many hours every single day that I think now you can really start. You are an entrepreneur in some sense. You work on a consulting basis, you work for yourself, so you have no boss and you can really make your own hours. But I think hopefully to where you are now, you can come to terms that you can start establishing more of a maybe 9 to 5, like more of a traditional sort of scheduling.
Yeah.
So you can then start implementing more time for yourself and
well,
the
what
things
I've
that are
started
important to
doing,
you.
Saturdays are 0 work days. For the past probably month, I have done 0 work every single Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't even touch my laptop. I don't even touch my phone. And honestly, that one day of just like...
But it should be Saturday. Like, I know that there are some days that you have to post on Sunday, so I get that. But I think you should start looking at it really be like a Saturday, Sunday, and you just look at your Sunday as like, okay, let me look at my task list and let me plan out my agenda for the week, but I'm not sitting down and like trying to get work done. Like, that work can go on Monday. You're not... I used to work I still work at a restaurant, and like when things would go wrong, my boss would just say like, we just sell burgers and fries, like just relax, like it's not that big of a deal. And my dad will even say to me like, you're not a brain surgeon, like you're not saving lives, like it will get done tomorrow. It is not the end of the world. Like, your client will still be there, that story will get posted when it needs to get posted. That if the draft needed to be done on Friday and it didn't get done for whatever reason, if shoots get canceled, if like models don't show up, it's okay. And I think because you are working for yourself, there's so much pressure to meet deadlines and quotas and views and sales and that sort of stuff. But I think you really need to be just more proud of the success that is behind you and just like take it in. And it's like, okay, like you're allowed to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's still 40 hours.
Yeah.
So work the 50 hours if you want to work the 50. Do another hour and a half extra every day. But I think take your weekends. There's so much to do on the weekends. You have so many big plans like coming up, and like use it for like me time, your personal content, things that you want to do.
Yeah. Facts.
Right? Like
facts. All right.
Like, okay.
This is my therapy session of the day.
Like, okay, I'm done working. Clock off. No, I just think people are so hard on themselves, and I have so many friends that work really, really hard, and it's nice to be surrounded by hardworking women, but at the same time, there's so many other things that I want to accomplish that they want to do, and you got to give yourself the time to do that, or else you're just gonna resent your work, and you're just gonna be like, you know what? I hate this client. I hate this photo shoot. Never call me again. This graphic is going to be half done. Yeah. But if you, like, I know it's so silly, but like 5 o'clock hits and I'm like, okay, that can be done tomorrow. And like, yes, I work for a company and I'm on a salary basis, but like I'm told like I'm there 9 a.m. I start at 9. I take my lunch break. I'm off at 5. And like whatever I get done during the day, I get done. And if I have like a daily task list, I literally text or I send an email to my manager at the end of the day. I'm like, hey, X, Y, and Z got done. He's like, okay, we'll talk tomorrow. And like, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's easier said than done, because I can just, like, it literally says in my contract 40 hours. Like, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. But I try and make sure that the 40 hours or the 8 hours that I'm putting in every day, I'm like, I'm using 8 hours to my advantage.
Productive.
Like, I'm being productive, and like I'm taking a break and I'm going outside and walking my dog for like 10 minutes and I'm moving. But like that's like I think your biggest struggle, because I'm like, go on a walk,
It's
man.
like an ADHD thing,
Yeah,
too.
I'm like, go on a walk, get some fresh air. Like, I know you don't have a balcony here, but I'm like, take your ass downstairs.
I know.
And go.
Okay, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode.
I think this was a therapy session for
It
you.
felt like it.
I was like, fix your life. Fix your inability to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and hopefully anyone struggling with imposter syndrome or not feeling like they can measure up to their success got some advice from us, and we're looking forward to chatting with you guys next week.
Yeah, we'll see ya.
Okay, bye.